Hello and welcome to Eternal Education Network. If you're fascinated by ancient mysteries, lost civilizations, and the untold stories of history, then you've just found your new favorite channel. Here, we uncover the secrets of the past, exploring the depths of time to bring you the most fascinating, informative, and eye-opening content, all in one place. Today, we're diving into one of Europe's greatest enigmas, the Basques, an ancient people, a language older than empires, and a culture that has defied time itself. From the Ice Age sanctuaries of prehistoric humans to their astonishing resilience against conquest, their story is nothing short of legendary. But before we embark on this incredible journey, make sure to hit that like button because it really helps us bring you more amazing content. And if you love history, mysteries, and mind-blowing discoveries, don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Ready to step into a world of history like never before? Let's begin. Children of the Pyrenees, the eternal legacy of the Basques, the Pyrenees rise like a jagged crown, a fortress of stone where the echoes of forgotten epochs linger. Their towering peaks, veiled in mist, stand as silent sentinels over a land that has seen the rise and fall of civilizations, yet remained untouched in its essence. Beneath these rugged summits lies a story older than the written word, a tale inscribed not on parchment but in the bones of mountains, in the twisting rivers that carve the valleys, and in the whispers of a language older than any other in Europe. This is the land of the Basques, a people who have withstood the relentless march of time, guarding secrets buried deeper than the roots of the ancient forests that cloak their homeland. Here, where the earth meets the sky, time itself seems suspended, and the past lingers like the scent of rain on moss-covered stones. The wind, howling through the narrow passes, carries the voices of those who once walked these lands, their dreams, their struggles, and their defiant refusal to vanish into history's abyss. But who were they, these people of the Pyrenees? To understand their origins is to step into the swirling mists of prehistory, to follow the faintest footprints left in the stone corridors of time. Tens of thousands of years ago, when Europe trembled under the weight of advancing glaciers, most of the continent became an unforgiving wasteland. Ice gripped the land, locking rivers beneath crystalline prisons, while the bitter cold devoured life itself. Yet amid this desolation, there remained a single haven, a narrow belt of land stretching across what is now northern Spain and southwestern France. This refuge, known as the Franco-Cantabrian region, became the last sanctuary for early humans as the world turned to ice. Here, amid deep valleys and limestone caverns, life endured. The ancestors of the Basques, driven by survival, found shelter in the labyrinthine caves, where firelight flickered against walls adorned with visions of the hunt. Bison charging through ochre-painted dreams, wild horses frozen in galloping motion, and red deer standing in eternal stillness. The caves of Altseri, Ekain, and Santimamine hold these ghostly images, their pigments defying time itself. Archaeologists have redated many of these masterpieces using uranium series methods, revealing that some were painted as early as 36,000 years ago. They are not merely art, but a bridge to a vanished world, a silent testimony of those who refused to be erased by the ice. Even deeper in time, in the cave of Lezetsiki, remnants of a more ancient species linger. Neanderthal tools, finely shaped Mousterian scrapers, speak of a people who thrived in these lands over 150,000 years ago. Though their time came to an end, their legacy remained, interwoven with the DNA of those who followed. When modern humans arrived around 41,000 BC, they did not simply replace those who came before them. Instead, they became part of the land, and the land became part of them. The Basque homeland, then, was not merely a place of refuge. It was a crucible of endurance, where survival was an art form and existence was a story carved in stone. As the great glaciers began to retreat, a slow transformation swept across Europe. The Ice Age waned, and in its wake, the land awakened. Rivers, once imprisoned by ice, roared back to life, carving new paths through the valleys. Forests, long subdued beneath frozen silence, reclaimed the earth with an explosion of green. Animals, red deer, wild boar, and ibex returned to the mountains, followed closely by the people who had outlasted the cold. Among them were the forebears of the Basques. Unlike many hunter-gatherer societies that would fade or be absorbed into the waves of migration to come, they remained. Their connection to the land was unbroken, their identity forged in the crucible of time. Then, around 6000 BC, the first whispers of change reached their isolated valleys. From the distant shores of Anatolia, Neolithic farmers arrived, carrying with them a revolution: agriculture. They brought seeds that could coax life from the soil, animals that could be tamed, and pottery that could store the bounty of the land. Elsewhere in Europe, these newcomers replaced the old ways entirely, overwhelming hunter-gatherer societies with their numbers and technology. But in the Basque homeland, something different happened, a rare blending of worlds. Findings from El Portolón cave near Atapuerca reveal a genetic fusion unlike any other. A 2015 study analyzing the genomes of 8 individuals from 3,500 to 5,500 years ago confirmed that while these Neolithic farmers introduced new technologies, they did not erase the past. Instead, over generations, their bloodlines intertwined with those of the Mesolithic inhabitants. The Basques absorbed change, but they did not become it. As a result, modern Basques retain a strikingly high percentage of Mesolithic ancestry, more than almost any other European population. Even as the rest of the continent changed beyond recognition, the mountains of the Pyrenees guarded something ancient, an unbroken thread stretching back into prehistory. By 2500 BC, a new force swept through Europe, the Bell Beaker culture. Skilled in metalworking, these people spread new traditions, and with them, new genetic lineages. The most significant of these was the R1BDF27Y chromosome lineage, a paternal marker that remains dominant in the Basque population to this day. Yet even as Europe reshaped itself in the image of these newcomers, the Basques remained defiantly distinct. The Pyrenees, standing like a natural bastion, shielded them from complete assimilation. While the culture of metalworkers seeped into their world, altering some aspects of life, it never consumed them. Later, as great empires rose and fell, the Romans, the Visigoths, the Moors, the Basques remained largely untouched. A 2021 genomic study in Current Biology found that unlike their Iberian neighbors, modern Basques show little genetic trace of Roman or Moorish influence. The Pyrenees once again had acted as a guardian, ensuring that their people remained bound to their ancient roots. Yet if there is one element that defines the Basques more than their mountains, more than their endurance, it is their language. Euskara is an enigma. Unlike Spanish, French or English, all of which belong to the Indo-European family, Euskara stands alone, its origins lost in the depths of prehistory. Some have sought connections in the distant Caucasus, linking Euskara to Georgian due to shared linguistic structures, such as ergative constructions. Others have looked to Armenian or even the lost languages of Sumer, but none of these theories have ever been proven. A 2021 study found an astonishing correlation between Euskara dialects and genetic patterns in Basque villages, suggesting that the language itself helped preserve the people's genetic distinctiveness. Where others were Latinized, Arabized, or assimilated, the Basques remained themselves, bound together by a tongue that outsiders could not break. Even today, Euskara remains a testament to their endurance. Nearly 750,000 people still speak it across 5 major dialects, some so distinct that they verge on being separate languages. It is a bridge to the past, carrying the echoes of the first hunters who whispered in the shadows of painted caves. At the heart of Basque identity lies their mythology, a sacred connection to the land. In the mist-veiled mountains, Mari, the great goddess, still dwells in hidden caves, her presence woven into the landscape itself. Her consort Sugar, the serpent, moves between storms, wielding the power of fire and transformation. The Gentilac, giants of old, are said to have built the great stone dolmens that still stand upon Basque hilltops, silent and brooding in the twilight. These ancient structures, dating back to the Neolithic, are more than mere tombs. They are echoes of an age when myth and reality blurred, when stone itself held memory. The Basques, children of the Pyrenees, remain, rooted in a land older than time, speaking a language older than empires, and carrying forward a legacy that defies oblivion. In the remote mountain valleys where mist clings to the peaks and rivers carve deep into the land, the Basques have remained as silent guardians of an ancient world. Their survival is not merely a matter of history, it is a testament to the enduring will of a people who refused to be conquered, who wove their identity so tightly into the fabric of their homeland that neither time nor empire could unravel it. To look at the Basque people today is to witness an unbroken lineage stretching back into the depths of prehistory. Unlike much of Europe, where cultures have been layered upon one another, erasing all but the faintest traces of what came before, the Basques have persisted as a living bridge between the ancient and the modern. The mountains, their ever-watchful sentinels, have safeguarded them for millennia, acting as both a shield and a cradle. While the rest of Iberia absorbed Roman influence, the Basques stood apart. The Romans, with all their might, never fully subdued them. They called them the Vascones, a name that would evolve into Basques over time. Though Roman roads and outposts encroached upon the Basque region, the language, customs, and identity of its people remained untouched. Even the Visigoths, who swept through Spain after the fall of Rome, could not break the Basques. In a world where Latin became the foundation of nearly every European tongue, Euskara stood as a defiant exception. But the most remarkable thing about the Basques is not simply their survival. It is how they have preserved a culture, a way of life, and a language that links them to the very first humans who called this land home. There is something almost otherworldly about Euskara, the Basque language. It moves like a stream through the mountains, untouched by the waves of Indo-European influence that swept across the continent. Linguists have long been fascinated and baffled by Euskara. It has no known relatives, no clear lineage. It stands alone, like the peaks of the Pyrenees that separate the Basques from the rest of Europe. Some have speculated that it is the last survivor of a once widespread family of pre-Indo-European languages that vanished under the advance of new tongues. Others have sought distant connections in the Caucasus, pointing to similarities with Georgian, though no definitive link has ever been found. What is certain, however, is that Euskara is ancient. It predates Latin, predates Greek, predates even the Celtic languages that once flourished across Iberia. It is a linguistic relic from a time before recorded history, a time when Europe was still wild, untamed, and mysterious. Remarkably, Euskara has not only survived but thrived, despite centuries of political and cultural pressures. During the rule of Franco in Spain, the Basque language was suppressed, banned from public life in an attempt to force assimilation. Yet even in silence it endured, passed down in whispered lullabies from mother to child, hidden in the private spaces of homes, spoken in secret where no oppressor could reach. Today, Euskara has experienced a revival. Efforts to protect and promote the language have ensured that it is not only surviving, but growing. Schools teach it, writers compose in it, and activists fight to keep it alive. It remains a defining pillar of Basque identity, an invisible thread binding the past to the present. But language is only part of the story. The land itself holds secrets just as deep. In the highlands, where mist veils the rugged slopes and twilight turns the forests into shadowed realms, the old gods still linger. The Basques, unlike many ancient cultures, were never fully Christianized in the way their neighbors were. Even as cathedrals rose across Spain and France, in the remote valleys of the Pyrenees, something older persisted. At the heart of Basque mythology is Mari, the powerful and enigmatic goddess of the mountains. She is no mere deity of light and order. She is fierce, untamed, and ever-changing, embodying both the beauty and the danger of nature itself. She is said to dwell in the caves of the mountains, emerging in storms and fire, her presence felt in the howling wind and the sudden crack of thunder. Mari's consort, Sugar, is a serpent-like being, a shadow moving between storms, carrying both destruction and renewal. Together they symbolize the balance of forces, the wildness of nature, the power of the earth itself. But the Basques do not only speak of gods. Their myths are filled with strange and ancient beings. The Gentilac, towering giants who once walked the land, credited with building the great dolmens that still stand on windswept ridges. As the story goes, when Christianity arrived, the Gentilac, sensing their time had passed, retreated into the mountains, never to be seen again. The Lamiac, water nymphs who dwell in rivers and springs, mysterious and seductive, blessing those who respect them and cursing those who do not. The Sorginac, witches who served Mari, keepers of the old ways, feared and revered in equal measure. Even today, these stories linger in the minds of the Basque people. The dolmens and stone circles scattered across the hills are not just archaeological remains, they are markers of memory, places where myth and reality intertwine. The story of the Basques is not one of isolation, but of resilience. They have never been passive observers of history. Though they have resisted conquest, they have also been sailors, traders, and explorers. The Basque whalers of the 16th century roamed as far as Newfoundland, long before most Europeans set foot on those distant shores. Their fishing skills were legendary, their navigational knowledge unmatched, and yet, despite their outward ventures, the Basques have always returned to their homeland. Their valleys and mountains call them back, just as they have for millennia. The Pyrenees are not merely a geographical feature, they are part of the soul of the Basque people, a silent promise that the past will never be forgotten. In modern times, the Basque country is a place of contrasts. It is home to vibrant cities like Bilbao, where the gleaming curves of the Guggenheim Museum stand as a symbol of the future, yet where the old Pinzos bars still serve traditional Basque delicacies, unchanged for centuries. It is a land of political complexity, where calls for independence still echo through the streets, a reminder that the Basques have never been content to be ruled by outsiders. But beneath all of this, beneath the politics, the modernity, and the changes of the world, there is something deeper. There is a connection that spans millennia, an unbroken chain linking the present to the distant past. The Basques are not merely a people who have survived. They are a people who have endured, who have held on to something ancient and sacred while the rest of the world transformed around them. Perhaps that is the true mystery of the Basques. Not just their language, not just their myths, but their unwavering spirit. Beyond the towering mountains and deep valleys, another element has shaped the Basques just as profoundly: the sea. The rugged coastline of the Bay of Biscay is both beautiful and treacherous, its waves crashing against the cliffs in a symphony as ancient as the land itself. The Basques have long been drawn to the sea, their relationship with it stretching back thousands of years. Their earliest ancestors, the hunter-gatherers of the Mesolithic era, found sustenance in its depths, harvesting shellfish from rocky shores and spearing fish in the rushing rivers that emptied into the Atlantic. But it was during the medieval and early modern periods that the Basques truly became masters of the ocean. By the 14th and 15th centuries, Basque fishermen had developed advanced seafaring techniques, allowing them to sail farther than almost any other European group of the time. While most of the world still believed the Atlantic to be a vast and endless void, the Basques ventured across it in pursuit of whales and cod. They reached the shores of Newfoundland long before Columbus ever set foot in the Americas, their sturdy ships braving the unknown in search of the great leviathans of the deep. The Basques were among the first and most skilled whalers in history. They hunted the massive right whales that migrated through the Bay of Biscay, perfecting the craft of rendering blubber into oil, a valuable commodity that illuminated the lamps of Europe's great cities. Their expertise in shipbuilding, passed down through generations, allowed them to construct vessels capable of withstanding the violent Atlantic storms, ensuring their dominance over the whaling trade for centuries. Yet despite their adventures upon the waves, the Basques never lost their connection to the land. Unlike other seafaring peoples who abandoned their origins, the Basques always returned home, their journeys reinforcing rather than diminishing their identity. Even today, the Basque fishing tradition endures. Along the docks of Bermeo, Lekeitio and Hondarribia, fishermen set out at dawn, their boats cutting through the mist as they head into open waters. In the villages, old men mend nets with calloused hands, speaking in Euskara, their language as unchanging as the tides. The sea has given much to the Basques, but it has never taken them away. To be Basque is to live within a rhythm older than memory, to celebrate the passing of the seasons as their ancestors did before them. Throughout the year, the Basques honor their heritage through a series of festivals that weave together the sacred and the joyous, the ancient and the contemporary. Many of these celebrations have roots in pre-Christian traditions, echoing the rites of their distant past. One of the most striking of these is Aquelarre, the legendary witches' gatherings that were said to take place under the full moon. The Basques have long been associated with witchcraft, not as something sinister, but as a continuation of their deep bond with nature. The Sorginak, or Basque witches, were believed to be priestesses of Mari, performing rituals in hidden caves and remote forests. Even today, stories of Aquelarre persist, their mystery lingering in the collective memory. Another ancient festival is Olentzero, the Basque equivalent of Santa Claus, but with far older roots. Olentzero is a charcoal maker, a rugged figure who descends from the mountains each winter to bring gifts to children. Some say he is the last of the Gentilak, the ancient giants who once roamed the land, a remnant of the old world preserved in folklore. Then there is the Tamborada, the drum festival of San Sebastian. Each January, the city erupts in the thunderous beat of thousands of drums, a ritual whose origins may date back to the times of war, when the Basques resisted foreign invaders. Today, it is a joyous celebration, but beneath it lies something deeper, a reminder that the Basques have always marched to the beat of their own drum. Every festival, every tradition is a thread in the intricate tapestry of Basque identity. They are not mere reenactments of the past. They are living, breathing connections to a time that still lingers in the hills, the forests, and the voices of the people. For the Basques, the land is not merely a place to inhabit, it is a part of who they are. Every mountain peak, every river valley, every windswept coastline is infused with memory and meaning. This deep connection to the land is reflected in their traditional ways of life. The Basques were among the first shepherds of Europe, their ancestors tending flocks in the high pastures of the Pyrenees for millennia. The sight of a Basque shepherd, staff in hand, guiding his sheep through the misty hills, is one that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. The Latza sheep, a breed native to the region, produces the milk used to make idiazabal, the famed Basque cheese that has been crafted using the same method since prehistoric times. Even their sports are tied to the land. Herikirolak, or Basque rural sports, are a testament to their agricultural heritage. Events such as stone lifting, wood chopping, and bale tossing are not merely contests of strength, but echoes of a time when survival depended on physical endurance. These competitions, held during festivals, serve as reminders that the Basques are as much a part of their landscape as the mountains that cradle them. And then there is pelota, the traditional Basque ball game. Played against the walls of ancient frontons, pelota is more than just a sport, it is an institution, a communal act that binds generations together. From the small villages to the grand courts of Bilbao, the rhythmic sound of the ball striking stone is as much a part of the Basque soul as the language they speak. The land, the traditions, the people, all are interwoven in a way that defies time. To speak of the Basques is to speak of a paradox, a people both ancient and modern, both fiercely independent and deeply connected to the world. They have survived invasions, conquests, and attempts to erase their culture. Yet they have emerged stronger, more determined than ever to hold on to what makes them unique. In today's world, the Basque country is a place of innovation and growth. Cities like Bilbao, once reliant on heavy industry, have transformed into centers of art and technology, blending the modern with the traditional. The Guggenheim Museum, with its sweeping curves of titanium, stands as a symbol of this new era. Yet only a short distance away, the old fisherman's quarter of the city remains, untouched by time. Politically, the question of Basque independence remains a subject of debate. The Basques have long fought for greater autonomy, and while violence once cast a shadow over their struggle, the modern independence movement has found new, peaceful avenues. Today, the Basque autonomous community enjoys significant self-governance, and the region thrives as one of the most prosperous in Spain. But beyond politics, beyond economics, the true future of the Basques lies in their ability to preserve what makes them who they are: their language, their traditions, their bond with the land. Efforts to revitalize Euskara continue, with schools teaching the language to new generations and cultural organizations, ensuring that the old ways do not fade into history. The Basques are not a relic of the past. They are a living people, carrying forward a heritage that stretches back beyond memory. They walk the same paths their ancestors once walked, speak the same words their forebears spoke, and hold the same unyielding spirit that has defined them for millennia. The Pyrenees still stand, their peaks shrouded in mist, their valleys cradling secrets older than time. And in the heart of those mountains, the Basques endure, unconquered, unchanged, and eternal.